Greetings. I'm here today to talk to you about your assignment and how you can find some resources for that assignment. As I understand it, you are looking at words, word etymology, word origins, and you have to give a presentation on these word origins and etymologies. You need to get 3 sources, and they should probably come from the library because the library already does the filtering for you and can get you some reliable sources. So I have your assignment pulled up here. There are several different ways that you can approach this assignment. You can approach it through the etymology, historical background, classification and differences, some of the things that she doesn't want you to look at is synonym and antonyms, visual definitions, audible definitions, none of those things. So kind of the word origins, how the word differs from other similar words, those kinds of things. And ideally, you're going to want to get some images too. So I'm going to show you how to do some of those things. We're going to spend some day today talking about primarily 3 different sources. We're going to be talking about books, of course. Everyone thinks about books when they think about libraries. So we're going to be looking at ebooks because the physical library is closed. Ebooks are only option available to you at this point. We're going to be looking at databases, which is magazines, journals, newspapers. Again, those are electronic as well. And I'm also going to show you how to find some information using the web. Not because I don't think you don't know how to use the web, but because I can show you how to make your searches smarter so that you're not getting bogged down, and so you are finding those authoritative, more useful websites that you can actually use. So let's go ahead and get started. I've given this presentation many times, and I find that one of the best ways to give this presentation is to put myself in your shoes, okay? So I'm going to pretend that I have been given this assignment. I have to give a speech, I have to pick out a word, describe that word, its origins, where it came from, that kind of thing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. To get things started, though, I'm going to show you a picture of my dog. This is my dog, Rue. She's a very good girl. If you have ever met Rue, which hopefully many of you will get the chance to do one day, who knows, she looks like the loup-garou to me. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the legend of the loup-garou, but I decided that I would use that word loup-garou as the word that I'm going to explore the definitions and meaning of. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. This is the main BRCC page. What I'm first going to do is scroll down to BRCC Library, click on that link. There's a lot of useful information on the BRCC Library page. There's links to email, chat. Right now, email and chat are the best way to get a hold of us. You can call us up. The phones are being redirected, so we will call you back if you call. But really, it's better to email or chat. We're going to focus on these gray boxes today. The first thing that we're going to take a look at is online databases. And by online databases, we're talking about magazines, journals, newspapers. We are not online. I want to emphasize that. We are not online. Online databases use an online retrieval method to store information online, store information virtually. So there's more space here, there's more materials here than we could ever have in the physical library. There's a couple of different databases that I'd like to share with you for help. Probably the single most useful one is going to be the Oxford English Dictionary. It's an excellent resource, especially when dealing with words. So we're going to start there. You'll notice that as I clicked on it, it takes us to this page. This is a page where you have to prove that you're a part of BRCC. I mentioned that it's not a part of the internet. The internet is open, it's free. This is not open and free. You're going to need to prove that you're a part of BRCC just like I now have to do. What you want to do is enter your L number, your B number, and let me look up. I happen to have an N number, and your PIN is default set as your birthday. 2-digit day, 2-digit month, 2-digit year, so 6 digits. You plug in your student ID number, your PIN number, you click authenticate, and it should take you right in. And that's the same with all the databases. So you're going to need to get used to entering that information if you use the databases. So here we have the basic interface for the Oxford English Dictionary. I'm going to go ahead and enter my search terms, loup-garou. It already has come up. Click go. It It's going to give us some basic information. It basically means werewolf. It's going to have a sound guide. You can click on this and get how it sounds. It tells you where it kind of came from. It was first introduced in 1579 from Plutarch. It talks about where that came from. Talks about its Old French. So right away, we've got a definition. We know that it's Old French. It initially emerged in 1579. We can cite this source not as a definition, although that is included, but we can talk about how it emerged from Old French. We can talk about how it was initially recognized as being used in 1579. This provides us with an excellent place to start. So that gives us one source, okay? Very good. I'm going to go ahead and go back to the databases now. The second database that I want to draw your attention to is EBSCOhost. I'm going to click on that, number 2. In this instance, I'm going to be looking for images. You can use EBSCO. EBSCO is very good at searching for those images, and you can cite those images. So that'll give you a second source as an image. I'm going to go ahead and select all, click continue. I'm not sure if so I was not asked to enter my L number and PIN again because I already did that. Anytime that screen comes up, just go ahead and enter your student ID and your PIN. I'm going to enter Lou Garu as my search term. I'm looking for images, so I'm going to come down here, black and white, color photograph, although I don't think there's going to be any, graphic, portrait, diagram, illustration, cartoon or caricature, diagram or plan. I'm just checking maybe a landscape. Go ahead and check those boxes. Once I get those pictures searched, I'm going to go ahead and click search. You'll notice at this point that we have a variety of different things. There's going to be a little thumbnail. The image hasn't loaded quite yet. Give it some time. It will load eventually. You see an image that's interesting to you. I'm going to go ahead and pull this one up from the old times of London. Okay, we have this guy. You can see he's kind of emerging into a werewolf. This would be an excellent image to use, maybe as an opening or a heading. We talked about how Lou Garu is Old French, emerged from werewolf. If you click on how do I cite this image, it'll pull up different formatting. I know you can use APA, go under image, cite that. If you're using MLA, go under image, cite that, highlight it, paste it into your PowerPoint or whatever you're doing for your presentation. That gives us two sources. We got the Oxford English Dictionary, and now we've got this image pulled from EBSCOhost. Those are two different databases, two different resources. We're going to look at some other resources now besides the databases. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this. Doesn't seem to want to let me. Okay. So the next thing we're going to take a look at is books. Most people think of when they're thinking of libraries, they think about books. So we're going to look at books next. And again, we're going to be limiting ourselves to the ebook collection. So we're going to click on BRCC Library. We're going to click on catalog search. The catalog is what you're going to use to look for books. We're going to change it to books only. We're going to enter our search term, Lou Garu. And actually, we're going to change this to electronic books. And you'll notice that this search doesn't yield anything. Sometimes students will give up at this point. What you're going to have to do is get creative. You looked at how you want to frame that word in terms of relation to other words. We know that Lou Garu is related to werewolves, so we're going to try werewolf and describe how the Lou Garu is not a werewolf. Okay, we come through here. We got the Book of Greek and Roman Folktales, Legends, and Myths. I'm going to go ahead and click on that. To read the book, you're going to click on Available Books in JSTOR. It should open directly on the cover. From here, I'm going to advance to the index. The index is alphabetical. I'm going to go to W for werewolves. We've got myths, sleep, all kinds of things that might be pretty interesting to look at. But we see here that werewolves are on page 108. So I'm going to go over here where it says 108, chapter 2. It's going to open on a page 90. I'm going to arrow over to 108. Okay, Shape Changers, the werewolf. This is going to give us a mythology of the werewolf. It's going to be kind of a story, but that will help you frame the context. That'll help give you the explanation of how the werewolf and the loup-garou are different. Remember, that's one of the ways that you can define your word, is the difference between a couple of different things. But how does a loup-garou different than the werewolf? You can use this mythology to describe that. So now we've got 3 sources, which is good enough. We've got the 2 database articles that we looked at, Oxford English Dictionary and EBSCOhost. We've got this description of the werewolf. I am going to go to Google and do an advanced Google search just to give us one more example, okay? I'm going to come down here to settings and take us to advanced search. Advanced search is going to take us to a page that's very similar to the catalogs, databases, all those other kind of library tools. All these tools use the same architecture. I'm going to type in loup-garou, and if you'll notice, I'm going to come down here to site or domain. I'm going to limit it to .edu, which is the educational site. Tends to be more reliable. I'll go ahead and click on that. That's going to take us to several different resources. I did look at this earlier, so I'm going to click on this article from the University of Michigan. Anytime you're looking at a website, there's a few factors you want to look for. You want to look for an author, which this page has. You want to know when it was written, in spring of 2012, and you want to be able to reach out and get in contact with them. And as I said, I looked through here earlier, and if you scroll down, you can click on this email address. It's from the University of Michigan. You can contact them, ask some questions. So this is a pretty reliable source as well. It basically is a description of the loup-garou. This is another mythological kind of description, but this one specifically talks about the loup-garou. So you can use this one in contrast to the ebook that was talking about werewolves. That will give you an explanation of how werewolves and the loup-garou are different. That will give you 4 different descriptions of where the word came from, its origins, its meaning, and this should be enough to help get you an A on this particular assignment and help you in your searches from here on out. I hope that you have found this demonstration helpful. If you'd like to get in touch with me, please email me. My email address is pklubek@mybrcc.edu. Thank you for your time, and I'm really looking forward to working with all of you. Take care.